Quentin Brogdon, legal analyst, attorney, joining us now. And, Quentin, the one thing that becomes more interesting, I suppose, about the most recent of the 3 female staffers who have alleged inappropriate behavior. So we actually have some photo evidence of Cuomo grabbing the face of this staffer. How important is that from a legal standpoint when it is a he said, she said type of situation?
Good morning, Brian. Extraneous evidence, whether it's something the victim said at or near the time to a friend, or some report they made, or photographs such as this, are always helpful. It's number one, confirms they were together at this wedding reception in September of 2019. She apparently told her friend right near the time this happened, I think at the reception itself, and she says she was looking for the governor before he left after it happened. She was kind of surprised by it. But she's now the 3rd woman who stepped forth in short order here to make these kinds of complaints about Governor Cuomo. So he's in some political hot water. He already was in some about COVID deaths and how they were reported, or namely not reported, from nursing homes, and some threat he allegedly made against a legislator in New York. So this adds to some building hot water that he is now swimming in.
So, a lot of things are looked at through the prism of politics. Let's talk about this on the personal side for a moment. I mean, you brought up something that I thought was important, which is even if all the allegations that are harassment related about him are true, pales in comparison to the whistleblower with what originally started this, saying that, yeah, we actually had a bunch of nursing home deaths that we covered up because we were afraid of what the Department of Justice would do. First on that, Quentin, is that potentially not just action that could be taken against the state of New York, but is that potentially criminal corruption with Andrew Cuomo himself?
Well, we don't know. The whistleblower has come forth with allegations. But if the governor, if any governor tells someone to break the law, if there's a law that says certain things need to be reported, and a governor, Cuomo or any other governor, says don't do that in spite of what the law says, potentially that governor is subjected to criminal liability. The main jeopardy to Cuomo and any governor who do that is in the ballot box. There's a building consensus. The state legislators, 2 top leaders, as far as these sexual harassment accusations, are both saying there needs to be an independent investigation. Governor Cuomo was trying to control who did that, or at least have some control over it. Ultimately, though, he backed down, and the New York Attorney General, Letitia James, is going to be conducting her own independent investigation and appointing her own independent investigator with subpoena power. And so, these things we've seen with other high-ranking officials and public personalities can build, and more people end up coming forward. The law doesn't prohibit teasing or offhand comments or even minor isolated incidents, but a quid pro quo, a hostile work environment with an employee, retaliation, demoting or transferring an employee because they don't respond to an overture, those are the kinds of things that the laws, both federal and in every state I've seen, prohibit.
And Quentin, you mentioned the ballot box, and this has actually been one of my concerns. We've had a crisis of confidence when it comes to many powerful people in this country, elected leaders, that get away with things that we would not. And, the double standard of the two. Do you think it's important at this point that the law is applied to Governor Cuomo, should this be proven, in part to restore confidence that our legal system will work even when it's a powerful person that's involved?
As a general proposition, I think it's not debatable at all that no matter how powerful you are, the law is the law. You can't break it. And if indeed Governor Cuomo violated any laws, whether it's related to sexual harassment or reporting of nursing home deaths or whatever it may be, he, like any governor, should be held accountable. That's just a basic fairness principle. And you're right, if that does not occur with Cuomo or anybody else, it can cause the public to have legitimate concerns.
How long do cases like this usually take to bring and to try if they're brought to court?
Well, lawsuits generally can take, and some of your listeners who haven't been, don't swim in these waters every day, but lawsuits can take a year and a half. I worked on one that took 5 years. So, generally on average, a lawsuit, at least in my home state of Texas, we're at a year and a half is sort of the default. Some take longer, some go away sooner. Not all cases are tried. Many cases end up settling short of going before a judge or a jury. But, the main peril to Governor Cuomo is political. He, some have said, has aspirations beyond being governor, or at least others have touted him for that. And these, this sort of avalanche of these reports over the last month or so involving COVID and the threats, and now these harassment allegations, those aren't doing him any favors politically.
Quentin Brogdon, attorney, legal analyst, always a pleasure talking with you, sir.